DETV Sports Update is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service. Moving forward.
And welcome into DETV Sports on a national championship Monday, just hours away from the national championship game in Phoenix, Arizona, between the UConn Huskies, who are trying to go back-to-back, and the number 1 seed on that right side, the Purdue Boilermakers. So a lot to get into tonight, and let's chat with everybody here at the table. We are joined by the crew and a special guest here on a special edition, Rachel Naughton, joining us here at the crew here on DETV Sports. Rachel, appreciate you joining us. We got a lot to talk about. We'll talk about your showcase coming up, and then we'll get your opinions of what you thought of the women's national championship game. Look ahead to tonight. So a lot to get into. We're thrilled to have you here. How you feeling?
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you. I feel special.
Well, of course, we're thrilled to have you back as always. Jason McCall, he's rocking a certain jersey tonight after a performance yesterday. Jason, how you feeling on a Monday night ahead of the national championship? Talk a little bit about what you got going on.
First off, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. So I'm a Dawn Staley.
Oh, wow.
Just saying, it was that win yesterday was for the culture. 38-0, perfect season. The revenge tour complete. First black coach, male or female, to win 3 national championships. So continue to making history. And it was a great weekend for best basketball in general, and both Final Fours, culminating with the men's tonight. So it's been a good weekend.
That's right, Dawn Staley represent. I know most of our picks here to bring home the national championship, so congratulations to the Gamecocks. Perfect season. We'll dive more into that here in just a few moments. Matt, how we feeling? Final Four weekend over the weekend, and here we are, our national championship set here tonight. How's the tournament been for you? Obviously going through all the draft stuff in preparation for the next few months. How's that been? Anything sticking out this NCAA tournament to you this year?
I mean, that the men's side wasn't that great. Yes, it's been.
I hear it's one of the best drafts ever coming up.
No,
we know you were lying.
Not at all. Not at all. It's one of the worst. And let me just also, because I'll get chewed up because of my historian label, but she's a second because we forgot about John McClendon, who won 3 with Tennessee State. Wasn't D1 at the time, but NAIA. Look, that was the only school you could be. So.
Yes.
Yes, definitely history either way.
History.
It's the kind of information you get right here only on Monday nights on DETV. We got it all. Knowledge is boundless.
This guy, man.
On DETV. And
we
guys.
dissing Coach Mack, man.
Oh, no, we can't diss Coach Mack, man. Blueprint.
Blueprint.
Well, as we dive in, guys, let's start with that women's national championship game that wrapped up yesterday. It was a phenomenal Final Four on Friday evening, of course, ending with Iowa beating UConn on a controversial offensive foul call. And again, we're past that. We're already through the national championship. Do we want to touch on that at all?
Yes,
I think we should.
Well, then let's go back and let's backtrack here to the Final Four. Friday evening, that big matchup between Iowa and UConn. I believe it was a 2-point lead for Iowa at the time. Ball in the hands of UConn with about 10 clock ticking down, about 5 seconds, I believe, when the offensive foul was called. If Dennis has a clip, we can bring it up here shortly, but everybody has seen it by now. Here we are a few days later. So, Jason, you're ready to jump right on this here. Thoughts on that offensive foul call there, that late in the game, in a game of that high proportion?
Why are you laughing at me, man?
You already know.
You already know.
Tough tonight.
You don't make that call, number one. Number two, it was a legal screen. It was a great acting job by Marshall of Iowa. That was an acting job at its finest level. You don't call that, but again, somebody probably made a call to Vegas. Guy Caitlin and them in the game, so need ratings. You gotta think about it. Iowa loses that game, and the viewership of the national championship goes down probably about like 60%.
You think even with UConn? They got a good following.
No one likes Geno, dog. Let's be honest. No one likes Geno.
No one liked him maybe 5 years ago. I think they're starting to come
No one
around.
likes Geno.
No.
I disagree.
I don't like Geno.
I think he's a phenomenal coach.
I mean,
He is.
no. We're
Phenomenal
saying,
coach.
He's great. He's great.
I like him. He has class. He wins and loses with class. And that's just, if you don't mind, talk about that
Yeah,
call.
sure.
I mean, I disagree with you.
You think it was a?
I think it was a good call. It was the right call for that moment. I mean, I get it. It was up. They were up 2, and towards the end of the game, but they were making those calls. They were making foul calls throughout the entire game. And it's just unfortunate. But as a coach, because I coach, You know, if that happened to me in my practice and my player set that type of screen in practice, I would have stopped and corrected her.
Okay.
So that's how I looked at it. She had a wide base and her arms were a little wide. So Gabby Marshall, I watched it maybe a few times over just to make sure it was the right call before I get online and start my rant.
We all got to do that now,
So
right?
I did that. I zoomed in multiple angles. It was the right call. You know, we could dispute that all we want, but it was the right call, whether if it was the bad timing, whether we shouldn't have made that call at that time of the game, but it was the right call. You know, unfortunately, you know.
Maddie, how do you feel about that? Did you have a chance to check it out? And what are
Oh,
your
no, I
thoughts?
definitely did.
I have a feeling Matt thinks it was a bad call.
Oh, I know it was a bad call. And here's why. This is just my viewpoint about basketball as a whole. There are subjective calls that every ref can make. And yes, I agree. It was definitely a foul. However, the problem I have with that is everybody kind of moves on screens. And there was a couple screens in that, of course, I don't have the clips, but there was a couple screens in that game. People were moving.
Yeah.
Iowa, for example, Caitlin Clark, that girl double taps her plant. When she plants her foot the first time,
And here we're seeing a clip of the moving screen
Right.
here on your screen
Right.
from ESPN.
she'll double clap. So there's a play and I wish I had the tape with me, but there's a play in which I can't remember her name. She comes up and she sets the screen for Caitlin Clark. Contact occurs. She then plants her foot again and makes her shoulder wider and her hip wider. Didn't get called. So my problem is not like if we're going to call, and that look, I guess that's the thing about me. I don't mind, refs impact games, but and I'm not going to say like this was the play, right? But they do impact games.
Yeah.
So as a coach, when I used to coach, and I probably don't do it on nearly the level, but I'm just saying the one thing that drives me crazy is inconsistency. Yeah. So like if you tell your players like, hey, look, when you're going in that lane, they're just letting contact happen. So you got to finish strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
doubt. That's all you can ask for is consistency.
And there's some games you play where some of the refs are a little bit more sensitive with carrying, or maybe they blow the whistle a lot faster on contact. So you tell your players, and your players have to adjust. That's the only problem I have, because it's not like this was a one play in the whole entire game where contact occurred. It happens. I mean, look, and I think it's a different league, but it happens in the NBA screens. It happens what Gino said was absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. Screens, a lot of that movement happens. Now, sure, was it the right call? Of course. I'm going to say it's the right call because, yes, in terms of in a bubble being basketball, right? Mm-hmm. It's the right call. I just think it was the wrong time for that call. Because, again, we have to also look at the political aspects of the game. Whether people want to admit it or not, there is a conglomerate of people that have used Caitlin Clark, and not to her what she wanted, but they have used her as a political tool.
Yes.
And on the flip side, they've created a narrative for Angel Reese's LSU team. They created a narrative for South Carolina's team. Mm-hmm. So people already got a certain investment, right? And when you start calling plays like that, you're telling people who are on the other side of that investment, what y'all doing with this? Y'all trying to throw this? What's going on here? So I just think that's the downside of it. Look, I totally agree with the coach. I totally agree with most people that say it was the right call. I definitely think it was just wrong time for me.
Yeah, they got a tough spot in general, obviously. You never want to make a call at the officials, down the stretch. At that point, the official, I guess, felt the need to make the call. I've always say the officials shouldn't be allowed to have the whistles in their mouth. They should have to pull it out and blow it in order to make a call. That's how I feel. But we'll see how it goes there going forward. But Iowa did get the win in that game over UConn. And they advanced to the national championship game, which took place yesterday.
That's a fact.
And South Carolina took care of business, as Jason mentioned. Undefeated season capped off. Don Staley, obviously we're a fan here in the region, and she brings home an undefeated season, something you don't see too often in the game, and a national championship over Iowa. They were 6.5-point favorites coming in. They take care of business, double-digit victory. Rachel, to start with you here, just your thoughts on, I guess we'll start with Iowa and Caitlin Clark. The big thing now is, where does she rank in terms of of the all-time greats in college basketball now without that national championship? Just how do you view her in terms of that?
I think she is up there with all-time greats. She has put up those numbers. The media certainly uplifted her, so we can't deny that. So there's no way to take that away from her. She has put in the work. her career average is amazing. You can't take that away from her. So yeah, she's certainly up there with the greats.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about that one?
When we say great, she's a great for sure.
Yeah.
GOAT, that's a different conversation.
That's different.
Yeah, like that has, and people don't like that because it's like when we were on here and we talked about that when she broke Pistol Pete's record. I said, well, the problem with it, and there were people that were like, oh, she's the GOAT, and I was like, well, Pete ain't the GOAT in college basketball for the men's side. So it's like, that's not the only standard we're using here. Also, you have to take in the championships. You have to take in the culture swings. You got to take in a bunch of stuff. And look, Caitlin Clark has done phenomenal for this sport.
Yes.
Her, Angel Reese, those two ladies deserve a round of applause for what they've done. But I'm just, when we're talking about GOAT, like it's just, there's certain names. And not that she's her, I can't be mad if somebody says her name, but it's like, you got to look at Cheryl Miller. You got to look at Lisa Lee. I mean, so many bomb players.
Before her.
Yeah, before her. And I think because we're in a culture where, like, it's a revolving news cycle, I think we forget sometimes those people that put in that work before. And
We do. And it's something, it's so sad that now in the culture and social media, when you talk against her, you're hating.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're hating, and it's not that. You're just speaking intelligently, because that word hating is just like a juvenile term for people who don't know how to articulate what the difference is between her and another player. And I think it's just horrible at times, because I posted something about her. And it's really not about her, it's about the sport. And I usually don't target players. The only time I mention a player is when Angel Reese got up after her loss, and she was very emotional. And people have seen her as this big bag wolf, on the court, this dog on the court. But she's human.
Right.
We always talk about that. But I just think that Caitlin, and like you said, they brought a lot to the sport. The media has done a wonderful job in magnifying their athletic ability. So, and that's where we are today.
And when we were going through that, I saw the list of that class of high school recruits coming
2020
into
class
college.
was
I mean, man, you look
amazing.
at it, it was Paige Beckers, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Caitlin Clark, and then Cordoza from South Carolina, those top five. So what careers they all were able to have at the college games. So congratulations to all of them. And next, Matt, the WNBA draft coming up. And a little bit later with some of those names that you just heard will be in that draft as well. So a lot of draft stuff coming up, but the women's tournament capped off with Dawn Staley. Closing words, Jason. Put a bow on it.
Think about this, though. You're going to see Caitlin Clark be teammates with Aaliyah Boston next season in Indiana. That's going to be crazy.
And good for Indiana.
It's going to be awesome.
That's going to be crazy.
So when she announced she was in the draft, I was in Indianapolis for the combine. So that was like all the buzz was, Caitlin Clark's coming out all over town of Indianapolis that day. So they were excited. They were, I guess, a little bit surprised too. I don't know why they would be surprised.
That's going to be a great thing for Caitlin because Stokey, serviceable, boy, you better go to WNBA and play with Aaliyah Boston. But I like also what Tarazi said on the ESPN telecast of the game. Said Caitlin's good, but she's going to play against grown women.
She's like a reality check.
In the WNBA, so she's going to go through her bumps and bruises.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Please.
Because I don't like that narrative. So, like, there's a narrative that's going on from morons like Barstool Sports and people of, like, Outkick, real brilliant minds that are painting a narrative that players are jealous. No. These players that we're talking about, and I want to stress to people, we live in a world where the NBA draft happens and you get 30 players and everybody says, that first round pick. This is the difference with the WNBA. They cut first round picks.
They do.
That's how crazy the talent
Quick
is
statistic.
there.
I want to say that just looking up this the other day, I think in average it's most like the top 10 picks
Yes.
or at most.
Yes.
Skipped for 2 or more years.
Going. Yeah, they don't play no games. It's by far probably the hardest league to stay in.
Agreed.
And what you heard was they're wolves.
Yes.
So when you tell them, no, she's good, they're like, okay, we're going to see. You heard competitors. You didn't hear those. Again, I don't know why we have different rules for women than we do men, because if it was men saying this, we'd be like, look at that competitive fire.
Right, exactly.
It's like, what do you expect Breonna Stewart to say? Oh, no, she's going to come over here and wax us? Like, what? It's not going to happen, man.
I mean, you didn't even hear that about Wemby when he was coming over, right? Nobody really said, he's going to come over. He's going to be really good on the side.
She got a target on her back, man. Look, you're going to have to come out here and you have to show and prove that you the girl that everybody's built up to be.
Use that left hand, play some defense. I'm just saying.
Yeah, the game is going to change for her. It's going to change for her because she's not going to play that many minutes. First of all, she's going to come in as a rookie.
Yep.
And the team themselves, those players have their rookie camp themselves. So they're going to put her through some physical, emotional, mental, challenges. It's not going to be that easy as we think.
And,
you know?
and even in her first year, obviously, we saw her shot selection in Iowa. She had the ultimate green light, right? You can take any shot you
Exactly.
want, and that's obviously going to change.
40
as
shots.
well.
Absolutely, absolutely. She's going to have to learn. Like Diana Taurasi said, she's going to have to be humble, and humility is going to be key for a lot of these rookies.
Efficiency is going to be what she's going to have to work on, right? The next level is, again, getting those shots, but not maybe taking 25 shots from beyond the arc. In the
I mean, we
WNBA.
just saw Sabrina Ionescu, who we all would say is like one of the best shooters in the world. It took her a couple years, though.
Yeah.
There was people out there that were like, she ain't good. Like her first couple years in the
I remember
league.
that
There
her
were people,
rookie year.
I mean, another name. It took Kelsey Plum a few years too to get her
Right.
place in
It
the
did.
WNBA.
Yeah,
'cause
man, this ain't sweet out here. I don't know why people think it's going to be cotton candy for her as soon as she
Jackie
hits.
Young took her a few years to get going.
Yeah.
All of them, yeah, absolutely.
It's a fact. So I don't know why people just painting this MVP walking on water narrative with her. It's like, nah, dog, she got to go in there and she got to fight.
Now, I do agree with you. I know we talk offline a lot. So I do agree with your take about Camila Cardozo's pro prospect and her
Yes.
success. Like
People
next level,
sleeping.
6'7", scorer, rebounder, defender. I do think she would probably end up being a better pro prospect. As I agree with you on that take.
Yeah,
For sure.
And I think Cameron Brink, who everybody's painted as the number 2, it's just from the defensive side.
Yeah.
Cardozo has not. This is the scary thing about Cardozo that people, I think, just skip past. She's still like
Learning.
so raw. She's still learning the
Yeah.
game. Cameron Brink, I think, is going to get overwhelmed at times with the physicality of the league. I think
agree.
people like Aaliyah Boston are going to throw that body into her. She's going to find out. It's not sweet, dog. You're not going to block 3 straight shots in a row like you did at Stanford. It's different. And Rakia Jackson, who people Tennessee, so keep an eye on her too. I think she's electric. I think she's one of the better scorers that's going to come
Fair
out.
from Syracuse is going to go crazy in the WNBA. I think her game is tailor-made for the game right now. And when I look at Fair's game, I see a little bit of a swoops type of like scoring ability from her. So next level, she's going to score anyway.
can see that.
What team she plays on, she's going to score regardless.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And
on
just
that.
like what I spoke about earlier, when to piggyback off what you're saying with Cardozo, same scenarios is with Angel Reese. Angel
Yes.
Reese can really play. She's been playing guard since she picked up the basketball, and she's put into this position to play the 4 and the 5 at times at LSU. Yeah, I mean, even at Maryland. Maryland, she played the guard a little bit.
Yeah.
But she's a guard.
Yeah, she really is a guard.
You know,
True
and
guard.
she can handle the ball.
Yep.
She can shoot the ball. She can certainly shoot that short jumper.
Yep.
She runs the floor well when she wants to. She didn't really have to play her game, so she kind of
didn't.
left that skill set behind. So it's going to be interesting to see her play at this next level.
Yeah, she's one that they said that might slip to 7.
7,
8.
yeah, slip to 7.
I don't know about all
But
that.
slipping
We'll
7
see.
to Phoenix,
Yeah.
it's not that bad of a
Not bad, yeah. Not bad.
Not that bad of a deal. You
No,
fall to
no,
Phoenix.
it's not. I
You
just
can play with Brittany Griner and Taraji.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not too bad.
No.
I would love to play behind Diana Taurasi. She's going to lead, and she's
Right.
going to teach you. She
Right.
knows how to teach because she played under Gino, and for so many years. So I think that would be a great situation for her.
And her game translates as well, like the scoring, the rebounding. I mean, if we're talking about tools, she has all the tools.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be a great draft. This draft better than the NBA draft for sure.
Oh,
by a
mile.
long
A
shot.
long shot, I agree.
Yeah,
but,
it's been one of the best women's tournaments in a long time, right? Especially just in terms of the viewers. ESPN have been racking it up in terms of that.
I'm just happy that they finally branded March Madness on the women's side. I used to call it the women's tournament for years, and they finally got it
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
And branded
Yeah.
March
That's
Madness
right.
and the
Wow, I
Final
forgot
Four
about that.
officially branded all the way around. So shout out to Disney Network for finally getting that right, and with all the games being broadcast on ABC and ESPN, live, not getting simulcasted or like having 4 or 5 games at one time. You're catching snippets of each game like how it used to be, even as recently as 3 years ago. So
You know what I do like too? I know this wasn't on the topic, but how they included HBCU schools.
yes,
A lot of the institutions, a lot of those games were also televised.
yes.
And there were times where they played against these Power 5 schools. So they got that recognition, and a lot of times they're just like underrepresented. So I think that was huge too.
Shout out to Tamika Reed, coach of Jackson State.
Jackson State,
Pay her some more money, man. $135,000 a year is not enough. Pay her some more money, man.
What about Robert Jones? You know,
He's been running the MEAC for
oh my
forever.
gosh,
So
you know, like you talk about, that's the Power 5 of the MEAC.
Yeah,
you know,
he's
he's doing wonderful things over there.
I hope he has the ability to stay and they're able to find more money for him because it's the right school calls.
Well, he re-signed his contract.
He did, but
He's a smart guy, so hey. and shout out to Jason Armstrong over at Lincoln University.
Yep.
His first year head coach, championship. You know, and had a female assistant who was very hands-on. I think that's wonderful for the program.
Yeah, and now to a coach that is heading out of a contract and into a new one, and that is Coach Cal,
boy.
who is leaving Kentucky after 15 seasons. At least the rumors so far, nothing has yet become official. Rumors started circulating late last night and into this morning. He'll be heading to Arkansas, so kind of that chain of events. We saw Andy Enfield leave USC to go to SMU. We see Eric Musselman leave Arkansas to go to USC. That opening opens up at Arkansas, and Calipari, who would have thought, is supposed to be in talks for a 5-year deal with the Razorbacks. And Musselman had success with this Arkansas team the last few years in the tournament. But rumors are Calipari very close with the heir to the Tyson chicken fortune. And they have a tie to Arkansas, as well as Jerry Jones, who is supposed to be one of the big boosters for Arkansas. So apparently a lot of money is ready for Coach Cal and the Razorbacks. What do you guys think of that hire? We'll start there with Arkansas and Coach Cal. And then who should be his successor at Kentucky with that big job opening up? Jason, we'll start with you. What do you think?
I will say this: I'm not a fan of the move whatsoever.
On his part, for Kelly, if you don't like him leaving Kentucky?
I don't like him leaving Kentucky. I don't like Arkansas hiring him. Potentially,
Okay, for both parties.
You can't go in conference. Like that's like a cardinal rule.
There's got to be a little bad blood there with Kentucky. Right, obviously, him and the athletic director haven't been getting along for years and years.
You can't go in conference.
So something's going on.
But also, I'll say this: I feel bad for the Kentucky players that he recruited last year and currently recruiting now to Kentucky.
They might be going with him.
They might be going with him, but it's
Jump in the portal.
But I mean, when you're there 15 years and you only really win one title and you haven't won a tournament game in 4 years, Kentucky didn't want to fire him because they owed him $33 million in a buyout. So he
They're
kind of
doing him a favor. I mean, he's doing them a
he-
favor.
He kind of had to leave because the rumblings with the boosters, Kentucky, like he wouldn't have lasted next season. But I don't like the move. He's the Italian Doc Rivers. I said it. What has he really done? I mean, every school he's coached, he's left a trail of violations behind. Lou Rowe and Marcus Camby's banner, 96 UMass, stripped. D. Rose, CDR's banner, Memphis, 2008, stripped.
It's not a good track record.
It's not. So I feel like he's running from something at Kentucky. I hope I'm wrong, but I have that feeling.
I don't know. Matt. What do you feel? How do you feel? We've talked about Cal. You can hear Dennis from back behind the glass. He's giving us a little input there. 15 seasons at Kentucky.
Yep.
11 times he had a recruiting class in the top 3. I obviously remember the championship he won, and you've alluded to the fact that he won that championship with a lot of NBA high lottery talent on that team. Your thoughts on Coach Cal leaving, and who do you think might be the best person for the job at Kentucky now?
I mean, my thoughts on Coach Cal is that he's running from the grind, but like I respect it. I mean, why would you want to stay in Kentucky where every year they want you to
Win the championship.
He can go to Arkansas right now. And look, shout out to Eric Musselman. He made that program solid.
Yeah.
But the expectations of people at Arkansas is we're going to go to
A little bit different than Kentucky.
Yeah, a little bit different. Just a little bit different. But I think it makes sense for him to stay in the SEC. He knows how the coaches play ball there. He knows their tendencies. He knows how they like to recruit. He's look, we don't like to talk about it. He's got a lot of the same boosters that are going to be around. They're not going to have to move around a lot. And, honestly, like, where else would he want to go? Like, I think he's at that.
That's interesting to think about.
Yeah, I don't think, because Arkansas is not a rebuild. So, like, when he first went to UMass, he had to redo that whole thing, right? Right, he had to build it from scratch. At Memphis, Larry Fitch and that died out, after Penny and David Vaughn left. So then he had to build that program back up. At Kentucky, it was like, look, put the car in the ignition, we good. At Arkansas, it's like, look, if I just get a top 5 class, they're all going to clap and be happy. So
Definitely.
Well, I mean, he did inherit Joey Dorsey and CDR.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
CDR.
Shout out to Joey
another
Dorsey.
good
Baltimore player, Joey Dorsey.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But yeah, It's not the same though. It's not like he's got to really go in there and really kill it.
The cupboard's not bare though.
Right.
Either
Exactly.
And and coming in this year, he would have had the number 2 overall recruiting class at Kentucky. So we'll see if they decide to go with him. Rumors are a couple of those Kentucky Wildcats on the roster this year are ready to pack up and head with him to Arkansas. And also a lot of the boosters, we talked about the Kentucky players, all these NBA players now, they said they're taking all their money and going with him to Arkansas. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all works out. He's going to have a lot of help from what it sounds like with not a lot of expectations. I'm with Matt. I think it's a win-win for him.
You know, but he's always, just in his defense, he's always had one-and-doners. So it's hard to win with freshmen.
Especially now, right? I mean, we
Especially
talked
now,
about it.
you know?
We've talked
and then
about
we
it
have the
on
NIL.
He's a little bit different.
Yeah, we have the portals. Like, he's up against a lot. So why not take that and move somewhere else if it's not working for there? Because there was been some rumors of that they were looking to let him go, like you said. So why not?
And 4 5-stars coming into that group next year, led by Boogie Fland from that state of North Carolina. We had a chance to do some of his games here in Delaware. He's the real deal. We'll see if he sticks it out and heads to Arkansas.
If you're DJ Wagner though, what do you do? Because you went to Kentucky, heralded, and you really didn't have the season personally.
Maybe that makes it even easier to go with him, change his scenery. You get the same coach, but you leave that behind at least for a year. What do you think?
No, I'm going, bro.
Going, right?
Going back to New Jersey. Like going back to Cali with LL. Nah, that's going back to Jersey, dog.
Should DJ transfer to Rutgers and play with Harper?
Well,
The
it's
younger Harper.
It's the big dog. Rutgers got the big dog. But I think he's the number 1 player, Ace Bailey. He's going to be a problem. Rutgers is going to be a problem. I mean, that's the first Harper that plays like Ron Harper used to play.
Right.
His son is
agree.
crazy bounce. Really
That's
talented.
insane.
Yeah, it's going to be nasty. So, yeah, I would definitely go for sure. But I also say this. Part of DJ Wagner's failure at Kentucky wasn't really his failure. It was poor roster construction.
Very much so.
You got Reed Shepard. You got Dillingham.
Yeah.
You got Wagner. They're all ISO
same
guys
player,
for the most part.
same game.
Reed can kind of float out and hit the 3, but for the most part, Dillingham and Wagner could not coexist in the same backfield. So it's like, backcourts.
When we talk about the draft coming up, and speaking on Reed Shepard, he was up at 3 in some of the mocks before the tournament.
That's 'cause
I mean,
crack.
looked like a deer in headlights in that opener against Oakland. And now Maddie's fallen to just 5, though. He's still in the top 5. He's sitting at that 5.
It's called crack. So, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, he's
I'm
not
just
top
saying.
5. He's
It's going to be
so
interesting. Yeah,
he's
we'll
not
see what
top
happens.
five.
Absolutely not.
But let's focus now
Yeah.
on who they might go and get, right? That's going to be a big thing
Yeah.
coming up. How much money are they going to go get? Whoever. Dusty May leaving, maybe a month earlier to Michigan. He might have been a name that would have come up for that job potentially, but he's off the charts there. Scott Drew's name has come up. Nate Oates is another name that's come up. Billy Donovan's name has come up in that regard. Billy Donovan, I mean, what do you guys think would be the next move or the best move for Kentucky? A team that has struggled, as we talked about, the tournament the last few years. Now you're coming off the first season removed from Calipari. What are those expectations going to look like this first year back in Lexington?
I don't really have a name that can withstand that pressure.
Like,
Right.
I mean, I see some good names have been thrown around. Like, I think it's a good idea to think Billy Donovan. We've heard
I
Jay
would
Wright
say-
has been thrown around.
No,
I don't think both of those. I think
don't
those. I
think
think
Jay
you gotta
Wright,
axe those,
no,
right?
Jay Wright's
That's
already
how I
said he's
feel.
not going
Yeah,
And
anywhere.
I
Jay
agree,
Wright,
and
no
I
way.
hope to God, Jay, don't you dare go.
No, he's
You
already said
better
he's not going
not.
anywhere. Jay Wright loves being on camera.
Yeah, he loves the-
Jay
Yeah,
has
Stay
to
right
be
there,
like
get
that.
those great
He's not messing,
clips.
he's not
Get
messing
their
that
haircuts, Jay.
wave up in that suit. He's
Yeah,
not messing up,
Good.
man. He's
You
staying
stay
on
right there,
TV.
Jay. Stay right there.
Yeah,
Jay
yeah.
ain't going nowhere.
He ain't
I
going nowhere.
like Billy Donovan.
You think he would leave? I mean, Chicago. It's been he's had some trouble in Chicago. Not I mean with injuries. Not so much his fault coaching, but it's been some struggle in there in
I
Chicago.
think Nate Oates is going to end up being the coach of Kentucky next season.
You think?
He's got a huge
I do.
buyout at Alabama. I think it's
SEC,
18 mil. I
Oh,
think
wow.
it's his buyout.
That's
one of
play
the
money.
biggest in the country.
That's play money because the football team will help with that buyout. That's play money.
I think Nate Oates is. I think if you're Nate Oates, would you leave? I mean, I guess probably, right? Would you leave
Probably.
Alabama for Kentucky?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why would you stay there, right?
If the money's right.
I would do the same thing, I
I
guess.
got Mark Sears out here running point. Bro. I mean,
Jalen Brunson 2.0.
no.
No.
And I know that's a little
The
disrespectful.
one thing you
to
won't
my
have,
man, JB.
you won't have problems recruiting.
Yeah.
No.
So I mean,
And that's something that, historically in the past, they might not have been able to recruit at that level. Now that they got Cal, we'll see that changes in Arkansas. They might see some 5 stars at Arkansas.
yeah,
Oh, you definitely want to
yeah,
5
absolutely.
We'll
Definitely.
see. We'll
That
see
money
if,
gonna come out, man.
we'll see if
Absolutely.
Boogie Fland
Trust me.
changes his commitment, or so maybe some other guys change theirs. We'll figure it out. But big news last night that's kind of overshadowing almost the big one here tonight, and that being the national championship game. 2 #1 seeds, UConn trying to become the first team since the Gators back in 06-07 to go back-to-back, but a little bit different. The Gators had the same starting 5 both of those years, and they won it completely, almost different roster and starting 5 here for UConn this second year. Just quickly before we dive in, you think it'd be more impressive if UConn does it with a different roster as opposed to how Florida did it with those same guys back-to-back?
For sure.
Or how do you think about this? You think that's something, Matt?
Without question.
Without question.
No,
That's why I think made South Carolina so impressive with their win.
Yeah.
They just
Entire roster. Like,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Again, and Danny Hurley using that. Obviously, Klingon was there coming off the bench last year. But that transfer portal, right? Cam Spencer, Tristan Edwards, all those guys coming
Let's
in.
talk about that
Kinda
because Coach Hurley said something the other day that made a lot of sense to me. He was asked about the one and done in the portal. He said, we grew our team organically. Yes, we had some players come in the portal, but they were support. They weren't our main guys. We had people who learned the system, who have played here, and now they're coming to the forefront as stars. So he still recruits the organic way.
Yeah, like I was saying, Tristan Edwards was not that guy at East Carolina, or at least not the guy Tristan, excuse me, not the guy that we saw at least at East Carolina last year to what we're seeing this year.
No, I mean, he's been amazing what he's been able to do. I mean, he's went from a mid-major that no one knew to
like Dalton Connect almost in a way.
Yeah, like he'll be a draft pick, I think, this year. Clingan Spencer.
Klingon's been playing out of his mind.
Klingon's
I think he's,
and I think
and we'll talk about
freshman
that.
Has exploded.
Castle?
Yeah, Castle.
He looks good. I tell you, UConn looks. Let's dive into this matchup here now, guys. Purdue and UConn. UConn opened up as a 6-point favorite. That was bet up to 7. Now break back to 6.5, trending towards UConn. So the money coming in on UConn here ahead of the national championship. Haven't been challenged. They've won their last 2 tournaments in every game by an average of over 20 points per game. That's just something you never see. They are literally blowing out everybody for the last 2 years. They haven't been in a competitive game that meant something in 2 years. Can Purdue keep this thing close? If they can they pull out the win? Let's dive into all of that right now. Jason, we'll start with you. You've known to maybe pick some underdogs here and whatnot, and you've had some success doing so. Where are you leaning tonight, and what's going to have to happen for your pick to come out on top?
Purdue's guards are going to have to play like their best game
I
ever.
heard you lead that sentence with Purdue. Does that mean you're going with the Boilermakers?
Purdue's guards are going to have to play their best game ever to win this game tonight. Zach Edey, Player of the Year, again.
Average over 20, or average, what, 30 and almost 20, 30 and 16?
Still not going top 10.
Well,
Second round, right? Second round. We'll
I don't know about that.
That's a different discussion. We have a whole show to do
for
that.
that. But like for Purdue, it has to be the others. No, people say the others have to perform. UConn has those other players. I can't say that Purdue has that same type of consistency from players not named Zach Edey. But Zach Edey can win a game by himself. We've seen that. I think he's a matchup problem for anyone that he's against. This game now, that's 6.5 point spread. America, don't go with that. don't go with that spread.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking then? What's Jason say?
I mean, it was a solar eclipse today.
That's true. We can talk about that on the show.
It was solar eclipse today.
So must be some weird stuff happening tonight. You think?
Mercury drinking Gatorade. You got Wale and Meek Mill beefing. You got J. Cole and Kendrick beefing and apologizing.
Yeah, what's going on? It's been a weird weekend.
What I'm saying, I'm leading to say that weird things are happening.
That's true. He's got a point.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Painter and Purdue are cutting down the nets tonight. I wouldn't be surprised.
I, for one, am hoping just for a great game. I hope you're right, Jason. I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. To me, UConn operates as a machine. I think it's just something they just continue to do. You cannot disrupt what they want to do. You said nobody can, and you're right about that. Edey is a matchup problem except for one player in the country, and he's going to be on UConn tonight, and that's Donovan Clingan. An inch or two, maybe just to spare. I think, again, what Edey and the success of Purdue has had so far in the tournament is that inside-out game. Right? They feed Edey, and you're seeing 2 or 3 bodies, and that opens up some of that perimeter shooting. That's not going to be the case for Hurley and these UConn Huskies tonight. They're going to leave Clingan one-on-one with Edey. There's going to be no help defense down there. I think he'll be all right. He's one of the best defensive players in the country, and Purdue's still going to have to knock down shots if they want to stay in this game, but they're not going to be open threes that they've been getting so far throughout this tournament. Again, with the way UConn has been playing, they can play fast. They can slow it down. They literally can do anything they want at any time. I'm going going with the Huskies, and we'll keep talking about this here for some time. I'm going Huskies double digits tonight in the national championship. Rachel, you thinking the same thing?
I am thinking the same thing. Because just like you mentioned about Zach Edey and Donovan Clingan. You got Sampson also. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, those two players up against Edey, oh, yeah, I think they'll take care of them.
Again,
like you said, UConn is a machine. You got Hurley. Hurley has, his family, history. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just with his experience alone, with the family history, he's a phenomenal coach. And I think that just with his expertise and an extension of his players and knowing how to defend Zach Edey, I think this is going to be a blowout.
The question now becomes, Matt, if you're Coach Painter, you're most likely feeling that you're going to get that one-on-one matchup down low. If you're Coach Painter in Purdue, what do you think they got to do to beat UConn? Obviously, you got to knock down some shots if you would have beat this team.
You got to pray.
I don't blame you. I'm with you. I'm sure they're doing it right now. Maybe a little chapel session before the game.
I mean, let me be serious for a minute. Let me be serious. I'm sorry, folks. This is how crazy this matchup is to me. But, I mean, really, to be honest with you, the guy they need the most tonight is going to be Braden Smith.
I agree. And he didn't look good in that Final Four game.
He's not looked good at all this whole postseason run. Has not been able to hit shots. I think Fletcher Lawyer, who's been hot from the outside. I think those looks are going to be a little bit harder to come by with this game. And
Lance Jones has to be big for them, too.
Oh, Lance Jones has to be massive.
Has to hit 3 or 4 threes.
They need another person to be 20-point scorer.
Yeah,
they do. They do. Yeah. They do. I just think this is it's crazy how they're 2 number 1 seeds, but it's giving the feeling of a David versus Goliath.
Yeah, right.
I
think that's just the way that you kind of.
We've
seen this before. I mean, nobody counted Villanova in '85 to beat
and
Georgetown
in '83.
83, but it happened. So.
Let me ask you guys, and UConn we talked about, we kind of expected them. I think almost all of us had picked them to make it to that point. I know, I'm trying to cut you some slack here. You don't have to admit it. Nobody remembers.
I don't care. I didn't have them getting.
But if you're UConn and you're going one game for a championship and UConn's already there and you guys, all right, pick a team in the country that you think could give them the best game. Would Purdue be the team that you choose? I mean, not saying that. All right, so
no one would choose Purdue to give them the best game.
All right, so what other team in the country you think that would happen to make it today would have given them a better game?
I think Marquette could have given them a good game. Better game than Purdue.
You think? Oh, okay.
I agree with that.
You're talking about a better game than Purdue?
I think
North Carolina State could have gave them a better game than.
See, I think Purdue. Again, I don't think anybody can beat them. I don't think anybody can beat them. I don't think anybody can make it that close either. But I think I don't hate Purdue being the matchup as
Had Alabama not upset Carolina, I don't think UConn's playing in this championship game.
And we said it. That's a game I would have loved.
I don't think.
I would have loved to
Carolina
see
beats Bama. UConn loses to Carolina in the semifinal. In the Final Four in the semifinals.
And when you look at just to go back on the women's championship, then we're going to hop right back onto that topic for a second. You look at the national championship, right? It was saying the Caitlin Clark, Player of the Year, going up against South Carolina. They were the better team, and they obviously got dominated. You look at Edey, 2-time now Player of the Year. He's the Caitlin Clark in this scenario, going up against UConn, who would be South Carolina. And I think the same thing happens as we saw in that women's championship game yesterday. Happens tonight.
I mean, you probably aren't going to be wrong.
I appreciate that.
First time for everything.
Hey, I got the championship right this year, right? I'll take it. But you said you disagreed with that, Rachel, or agree with what Jason said?
Can you repeat what you said, please, so the viewers?
She wants to make sure.
Testing. What I said was, if North Carolina would have won against Alabama, I do think they would have been the best matchup against UConn, and I think they would have beaten UConn in the semifinals in the Final Four. I do think so.
Okay, and I still stand by. I do disagree. I don't think that North Carolina matches up well with UConn. UConn has a long bench. They do have, in my opinion, 2 start lineups. I don't think, first off, Baycoat can handle any of the posts on UConn's team. I'm sorry, Baycoat, Armando is just, I know he's going to the draft. I like the kid.
He ain't getting drafted.
Exactly.
Maybe a second round or
I just don't think he's that player. Maybe overseas. I think he can play international basketball.
Big money overseas.
Right. And I think that's going to be his route. And he might get drafted, just for business purposes.
Right?
Favor.
If Michael Jordan was still in charge of the Hornets, he might take a shot on you.
You promise these kids go to North Carolina, you're going to get drafted. Hey, you got drafted, but then you get cut. You know, you see what 1 hour on the court, and maybe 1 hour contract deal. But I mean, I think that he's going to be
no 10 days.
right. 10 days.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I don't.
Blue coats.
Blue coats, right?
Shout out to the
you know,
Blue Coats' tough playoff run, but we'll be
that's
back
right,
next year.
That's right. But yeah, I think that he's going to have a nice career overseas.
So the reason why I said that about Carolina, because I think that the guard play of both schools would have canceled each other out. I think when you have R.J. Davis and you have Cadeau and Carmack Ryan, I think they could have matched the guard play of UConn, so it would have had an X factor elsewhere.
The age aspect.
And I think
right?
I think the X factor would have been Ingram for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, man, that was such a tough game.
Though. The age.
I'm saying
Hey,
that
Carolina
would have helped. I think if you were
experience,
going to take on UConn, I think having a team that's as old as North Carolina probably would have benefited you at least a little bit.
What do you
Don't
mean
think it would have
old,
mattered though.
What do you mean old?
Well, I think Cormac Ryan's 24, 25. Baycott's 24,
right.
25. Like they've got grown men on that North Carolina
Yeah.
team. I don't think it would have
Very
mattered. I don't, because I think
Those
UConn would
boys
have
are drinking.
Yeah, before and after the game.
With the coach.
Yeah.
21, 22.
Yeah, correct.
So
Yeah.
I guess it's they were feeling good with that. That game, that one was the one I did not see coming. That was the one I think I guaranteed a victory on the show for
You
the
did.
Tar Heels before that.
Did you?
Yeah,
did.
that was my biggest upset of the tournament for me, picking wise. So I will apologize.
Well, that's because Grant Nelson walked us down, but shout out to Grant Nelson. He did.
Another North Dakota transfer, North Dakota State transfer, right? So
Did his
transfer
thing,
portal in full swing. So guys, the national championship just a little while away. 9:20 tip off, less than 2 hours in Arizona. All of us, it seems like, are going with the Huskies for the most part. Is there any way Purdue can win this game, and if so, how?
Like,
There's a way.
Besides praying, you got to pray first. That's how you start.
There's a way.
That's how you start. How do you finish?
I mean, somebody got to get hot, and it can't be Zach Edey.
Somebody got to
Somebody got to get in fuego.
And I said this in Alabama. I said, I think they got to hit 23s. I think you have to hit 18 to 23s. I think Alabama hits 12.
a lot.
It is. It is asking a lot. I know that. I know it's. But how much are you going to beat them? I don't think you can beat them any other way.
18 to 23 is
Alabama.
crazy.
it goes back to your prayer.
Yeah.
And when they lost to Creighton, when they lost 3 games this year, in those games, I believe those teams hit, over 15 threes in those 3 losses that they had this year. Alabama hit 8 in the first half against them, and they were in that game. They were still losing and hit 8 threes.
That's because Alabama, top
in the
scoring
first
team,
half.
one of the top scoring teams in the country. They were going to do that regardless.
So we'll
Yeah,
see.
you
If
weren't stopping
Klingon
that
gets
machine.
in foul trouble somehow, I don't think it'll happen. But if Edey can get Klingon in foul trouble, he has to go to the bench. Maybe we start seeing them double him if he gives them trouble, and then you see them dish it out and hit some threes. That's the only way. I
The
think
problem is, Edey's more likely to get in foul trouble.
you're right, and that could
Yeah.
happen too.
Yeah.
And then once that happens, it's a wrap.
It would be a wrap. And I don't know if he's more prone to foul trouble. I think he's better at drawing fouls, but he's also obviously
He's
can get
prone to
called
foul
too.
trouble,
I just think he has a better shot of drawing them than dishing them out. But I agree with you there. That would be that'd be KO.
Purdue's
early.
best chance to win, although it's funny, it's crazy to say, but this really isn't their best chance to win a championship. Their best chance to win was a couple years ago when they had Jaden Ivey on the roster with Zach Edey. I think that was their best
Near the player he was
Purdue
now that he was
team.
then.
This team,
You're right.
And Trevon Williams.
and Trevon Williams, yeah.
And he was better than Edey back then. I think Trayvon Williams. Yeah.
Like, so this, it's like like you said, the Caitlin Clark Iowa narrative. I feel like it's the same narrative with this Purdue team. Like, figureheads kind of want Purdue to win this game.
Sure.
Is it going to happen? I can't say.
No.
I can't say it will, but there are some behind closed doors. People probably want Purdue to win the championship just
I think so.
Yeah, I
Just
think
to
so.
to help validate Edey's 2-time Player of the Year.
And speaking of
All that
Zach
kind of
Edey,
stuff.
quickly, we'll pause for a second just to get Matt's thought on the draft stock
Yeah.
of Zach Edey. Now, the last few years, it was nothing, but he has gotten better. He's been a better player, and obviously 2-time Player of the Year, first in Samson to do that, but not viewed as maybe a top-end talent. What do you think his draft stock is come the draft in July?
Yep.
And just go with that first, and I'll think that's a further question.
I mean, I think he declared last year, but couldn't get a promise. First round. Conditioning was the big issue.
Yeah, and he's improved on that.
Definitely has improved on that. The problem this year in a weak draft, he's getting in the first round. So he's definitely going to be in the first round, I think.
I think that's good news if you're him. This was the perfect year to come out. If you
For sure, perfect year. The problem is, do you want Donovan Klingon or do you want him? And most teams are going to say,
Klingon.
I want Klingon.
One Klingon, yeah.
So that's kind of the issue that Edey, and look, Edey, let's be honest, he's in a situation where he's in the perfect spot for his skills.
Yes.
He does not have to be face up to the basket. He doesn't have to create off the dribble. All he does is camp down there low. And look, that's great. We all love the big man, old school play, but in the new era of the NBA, it's not where it's at.
Yeah.
You know, and Utah, a team like Utah who still try to plays that old school game, they might take it easy, but Klingen's got the best long-term value for any team that's looking for a center. It's like a couple years ago when Mark Williams from Duke got picked up. So
After
like
that run.
Yeah, certain skill sets just match better, and that's the problem with Zach Edey. Is just right now he's kind of like a dinosaur. Like he's a guy that 20 years ago he probably would have been top 5 pick.
Yeah,
no
easy.
one would have said anything.
And he's having, again, a huge tournament. I mean, breaking records with the way he's played in the tournament. Has his stock even risen because of the way he's played in the tournament?
No, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, look, it's like Kofi Cockburn, who was at Illinois.
Oh my goodness, Kobe.
He was first team all America.
He didn't. He was such a I thought he read such a bad tournament that year with that team from Illinois.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he even thought about entering the transfer portal, then came back and went to the draft. It was a weird scenario.
Yeah,
but
didn't get picked. So like it happens. And you had Luka Garza, who went 52nd.
Yeah, just signed
Another
his
player
NBA
from what
deal
school?
off his two-way deal.
Another player from what school?
For the Timberwolves, I believe.
Iowa.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's something about Big Ten big men, dog. Like it's something about.
Yeah.
You know what? It's kind of like in college football. You have SEC and everybody else.
Yeah.
SEC players translate well to NFL. Other conferences teams struggle. It's like the Big Ten players don't translate that well to the NBA anymore. Like it's not the same game as it was.
Right.
This is like the
When
90s
was the last
game.
time they won a national championship in the Big Ten?
Michigan State.
It was
Yeah,
2000,
that's
right?
2000, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of, isn't that insane to think about when you think about every
No.
year it's the Big Ten that
It's
gets
not.
all these teams in?
No.
I just think the Big Ten is overrated
It's
historically.
very overrated.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
with
just
you on
understand
that.
why this happens every single year. We all look at 8 teams from the Big Ten coming in the NCAA tournament.
Now it's like the Big 16. All these teams switching over next
Yeah,
year.
it's
Like,
getting crazy. Maybe they'll prove us wrong tonight. Maybe Purdue comes off with one of the biggest upsets in tournament
Conference
history.
needs it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
if
they will.
it's-
They need
They
it.
need it, brother.
They need it desperately.
the only way they can win this game is if Big Dog Robinson is playing in this game.
Oh, yeah, eligibility.
Big Dog got one game
Yeah.
eligibility. You put Big Dog back there, then you might have a chance.
Yeah, well, let's go around now and do our tournament most outstanding player. Guys, depending on who you think is going to win the game, obviously you can tailor it off of that. Rachel, who do you think is going to take home this most outstanding player today after the national championship tonight? You could be anybody for you.
It could be
right?
anybody. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And again, I'm talking strictly
I
UConn.
think-
That's who I think is going to win, but I think it could be any one of those
It could
guys.
be anyone. You know, I think Klingen's gonna have a good game.
Yeah, and especially if he does it against Edey, looks
Against
good,
Edey,
and they
right.
win.
I think he's the candidate.
Yeah, Matt, Jason, what are you thinking?
I'm just going.
He wants to say Edey, doesn't he?
I don't. I don't. I want to say somebody who's not even playing in the game tonight. Might have a Jerry West situation. Remember how Jerry West got the most outstanding player didn't win the championship?
Yeah. Who you going?
DJ Burns got a out like a outside shot of winning most outstanding player in the
That man
tournament.
ain't got a shot.
Oh, DJ Burns.
I was saying just because that. I was see what y'all.
I love DJ Burns, and I love your take, but it is not going to happen,
No,
dog.
it's Klingon for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Klingon for sure.
Tristan Edwards, first team All-American. He has a shot, but I'm gonna if I had to pick
It's
somebody. Yeah, I would probably lean Klingon, but I think Edwards could be just to cap off the tournament. He's been their guy for the most part all year. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a big game in the end. He took it home. Matt, how you feel?
I'm with Klingon. I mean, he's averaging, I think, in this tournament, 3.5 blocks, like 9 rebounds, 16
Fantastic
points.
defensively, especially.
He's a problem, bro.
Yeah,
I think if he cools Edey down, I think voters are going to be like,
be a
well,
blowout, too.
easy.
If that happens, we could be looking at a blowout potentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tonight, if you want to get good odds, Cam Spencer 33-1.
Wow.
If he knocks down 5 or 6 threes tonight,
Really?
hey, you never know. It might be some good odds there.
We ain't going Bet Rivers. You can do it on your phone on the app.
So we're still waiting for that contract for our partnership, Bet Rivers Sportsbook. So
Just saying.
we'd love to do a show live from Delaware Park
That would be
coming up.
awesome.
But that would be fun. But again, national championship less than 2 hours away. Just go around. Let's just give our official picks here around the desk. Matt, we'll start with you. Purdue, UConn. UConn going for back-to-back. Purdue looking for one of the biggest upsets we've seen, even as a top seed. Where do you lean in tonight?
UConn 15.
UConn by 15. I'm going to say UConn by 12.
I have UConn by 12 as well.
UConn by 12. We're double digits across the board. Jason, what are you thinking? Like, he knows it too. He knows it. He's like, man, I'm really not about to take the Huskies. He's like, I want to, but I'm not about to. Go ahead, Jay. Make your
Let me
prediction.
hear it.
Boilermakers.
Just, hey, I would say if they somehow, some way, they're in the chapel right now, Matt praying, and they come out and they win this game, Jason's gonna snap this clip of all of us laughing after he said that, and that's gonna be all over social media.
Boilermakers, man.
Where's this game played at right now?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, there's no live chickens right now because they've sacrificed them right now, bro.
Boilermakers, baby.
So will it pay off? That's the question. Jason's saying it will. What's the score? What do you got? Purdue by what, 1 buzzer beater? What are you thinking?
They're not gonna win by more than 3.
Not more than
If they
3,
win the game, it's going to be very close. It's not going to be.
Oh yeah, no doubt, absolutely.
UConn wins blowout. Purdue wins close game. It's really that simple.
See, I felt the same way, but I just don't see it staying close. I like the way Purdue has played. Like I said, Edie has been the mismatch every step of the way for Purdue, and that is just not the case tonight. Klingon, you could argue, is a better player almost. Not a college player, but a better almost basketball player than he is. They're going to match up. If you take him even out a little bit, as Matt said, I think it turns into a blowout.
Will the refs swallow the whistle tonight is another key question,
If
too.
you want Purdue to win, you hope not. But an NCAA national championship, I always hope for the whistle to be so. I always think that you should let them play. So we'll see. It's national championship time. We'll see. It's going to be a fun one tonight. Dennis, who do you got? UConn. Easy. And I remember Dennis had UConn winning on the bracket show.
He did have
preview
that, yeah.
as well. But now there you go. Wrap it up here. Closing words on the national championship. Anybody final words before ahead of tonight?
Get your popcorn ready.
It's going to be a fun. I just want a good game. That's all I want.
I just want a good game.
Good game. Let's
Good
get
luck
a
with
good
that.
game. Yeah, no, I know. We'll see what happens. I know. If I remember correctly, I don't think it was a good game last year either, right? When UConn won?
It was not.
I remember. No, they won. I
was
remember not being too into that one either. Yeah. So the Huskies.
But that parade was insane last
So
year.
we're all, just talking. All of a sudden, we get a group text from Jason, who is in the crowd at the parade. He winds up everywhere. We don't know how. He's everywhere. You going back if they win it again?
No.
Especially after you picked against them. Oh no, they won't let you back up there.
No.
So
No.
Let me ask this question: if UConn wins this back-to-back, does this signal them as a blue chip program?
How they already not won?
I think yes.
Because it's the first time that they've been favored.
No, but how they already not, they already have 4
Yeah,
chips.
but their titles have always been
separated
separated by long stretches, and like some of their titles are like, did they win? Oh, they're championship. We got kind of surprised.
No, I do think
think-
they're already a blue chip program. Like, that's just me personally.
As long as Daly Hurley's there, I think that's going to continue.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, I think Calhoun put a stamp on them prior to them being a blue chip program, and you had the minutia with Ali, but I still think, regardless, since '99,
Right.
to me, they've been a blue chip
I
program.
agree.
I think
I
they're
don't
right.
agree, but that's fine.
I mean,
We're going to be looking at
What's
back
new?
to back to back maybe come next
what's
year.
new, sir?
Hey, man.
Well, as we wrap up tonight's show, we got Rachel here, obviously for a special reason, not
Yep.
just to get her analyzation on the games and everything we've seen over the weekend. Rachel, we have your Ballin' HBCU showcase coming up
Yes,
in
I'm
May,
excited.
right? May
Yes,
11th.
May, yes.
You can see that on your screen there. It's going to be a phenomenal event. Just talk about it a little bit here, and then we'll ask you some questions.
I mean, this event is just so dear to me. It's May 11th. That's the same day that my father passed away. So it's dear. I just put everything. I pour everything into it. He was about community. He was about family. And I just see young people, and it's like, you have your all-star games, your EYBLs, you have your Nike platforms, your Adidas platforms. And what do you do for the kids that aren't being seen? And then you have HBCUs that are underrepresented. So I just want to collaborate the two. So I have students and student athletes and introducing them to the HBCU academic programs and athletic programs as a whole. Not only that, just bring the community together for some family fun, some camaraderie. So that way they can, here in Delaware, why not? At the Chase Fieldhouse, that's like the melting pot
Right?
of
It's such a fun spot.
Delaware,
We've done games there. We've
Yeah.
seen games there. A great spot to play some
Yeah,
basketball, especially for
absolutely.
a showcase like this.
Absolutely.
Just to be able to get in that building and be able to check it out, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yes. So come on out. I'm welcoming any vendors.
That's right. Yeah, there we
Sponsorship,
go.
donations. So, you can purchase your tickets at ballinhbcu.eventbrite.com. Go to the Instagram page, Ballin_, which is BALLIN_HBCU. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun event. I have kids from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland. Oh, and Texas.
Wow.
That's your farthest one? Texas?
Excuse me? That's
Farthest?
the farthest, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I'm also want to take this this particular showcase southwest in the, in the south eastern region, because there's HBCUs all over, and there's a lot of kids that just don't know. I'm originally
Right.
from New York. I didn't know what an HBCU was.
Right.
When I was told that the HBCU was looking at me, I was like, okay, I didn't know it was a college called HBCU. I was so like ignorant to the fact. I'm like, okay, so St. Paul's College, and I'm like, I'm from New York, big city.
St. Paul's, okay.
St. Paul's. I went to St. Paul's down in Lawrenceville, Virginia.
Okay.
Where
R.I.P.
there's like one road that you got to drive 15 miles an hour, or you're getting a ticket, and that's right in through town.
That's what you don't. No speed
And then you
checks.
have 45 minutes up north. It was Virginia State. 45 minutes south, you have Shaw University. So I mean, I just love the what HBCUs bring, that culture-like feel. So that's what I want to bring to the Chase Fieldhouse.
I know all about the HBCU and what it feels like, going to Delaware State. I
Absolutely.
understand, the vibe that you felt
Yes.
going to school, and it's something that's you can't really describe it until you experience it yourself.
Absolutely.
Like you don't know, you can't really you can't write it down, you can't do anything with it, but it's like it makes you more conscious of who you are, and it gives you a chance to be in the majority for the first time.
Yes.
And that sense of pride that you develop, it carries you through the rest of your life. And you being an athlete at a HBCU, I know that was a different experience for you. And for me, I was in the band, so it was like the band and the sports teams were on like the same level. Like you got a good band, a good sports team, it's like do whatever you want. Like do whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
But I think your showcase is needed.
Absolutely.
And we
Thank you.
want to say hats off to you on this, and
Thank you.
however we can support.
That's right. Yeah, we're all hoping to be there on May
Absolutely.
11th to check it out.
Yes,
Again, if
yes,
you haven't been
yes.
to the Chase Fieldhouse, the perfect spot to have a showcase like that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to mention one of my sponsors, And1. I mean, And1 has been
Yes.
phenomenal. I mean, each kid is getting a pair of sneakers.
Ooh,
and
wow.
one of their top sneakers, I mean, that they're actually bringing back to the line. And this brings tears to my eyes, the support they have given me, and the support of HBCUs, because we don't get that much support. And I'm saying we because I'm a diehard HBCU advocate. And what HBCU has done for me is phenomenal. I was a single mom in school, and St. Paul's College was the only college that offered a single parent program. And I was able to do marvelous things as a single mother.
Please tell me it's the Tai Chi they're bringing back. Please tell me it's the Tai Chi, one of the best basketball.
Tai Chis are nice.
One of the best basketball shoes I've ever worn.
They are bringing them back. They are bringing them back.
Tai Chi's,
But
baby.
wait till you see the sneakers that
If
they're.
you need 3 more players, you want to lace them up, man. We got 3 at the desk right here. We can give you about 5 minutes of action, maybe.
Wait till you see the
Diana
sneakers that they're getting.
Yeah. Playing half court.
Yeah, half court. We can do the 3-on-3 half court.
The sneakers that they're getting are wonderful. They're beautiful.
that's-
They're like one of the tops.
That's fantastic. I mean, that sounds
Look at
incredible.
sponsorship
And-
and one. That's clap up for that. That's
Yeah, and again,
and
that's
one.
just almost a month away. It's quickly approaching, so put it on your calendars.
tickets, folks.
May 11th. Again, that website is on your screen, volunhbcu.eventbrite.com, the Chase Fieldhouse, Garage Lane in Wilmington on May 11th. That is going to be a phenomenal event. Make sure you get out there. You'll be able to check out Rachel, see Rachel there, see us there
Absolutely.
potentially. It's going to
Yes,
be
you
a
will.
fun one.
You
Get
will
your
be there.
tickets right now. So, guys, it's been a fun show here, wrapping up on the national championship. We'll go around now, just parting words, putting a bow on tonight's show. An hour and a half away from the national championship. We could be an hour and a half away from seeing another back-to-back national champion. Jason, take us home. What do you got?
Man, this has been a phenomenal March Madness on both sides. Great tournaments. So I've just been enjoying this current tournament season. Shout out to the women's tournament for being the leader this year in viewership, in excitement, and even big name players. But the Final Four on the men's side has shaped up to be what experts thought. So we got the matchup that everyone wanted to see. So we're gonna see how it plays out.
We'll see.
So
Hopefully it's a
I'm
good
excited for this game, but I'm excited post game. I'm excited for what these players will do at the next level. I know it's a very weak draft, the NBA, very strong draft, WNBA, but I just want to see how many of these big names will translate.
Yeah.
in the next level. So
It's
that's
gonna
I'm
be
excited to see.
especially interesting here
Absolutely.
in the NBA draft. Rachel, closing words, everything you want to say as we close out on National Championship Monday?
This has been such a blessing. I just love competition, and just like with football, I mean, the aggression that these women displayed is also translated into the men's games. I mean, we're watching UConn and Purdue tonight, you know, and now I just want to see what the viewership is going to be like.
Yeah.
You know, if everybody is jumping on the women's side, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what we got for the men's.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
it's gonna be as much.
I don't
I think it's
think
gonna be high.
actually
I don't think so.
think it might either.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so either.
And again, you could maybe attribute that to the fact that UConn's blown everybody out for the most part,
absolutely.
and maybe they just think that UConn's going to take care of business. Either way, it was a phenomenal women's tournament, and the
Absolutely.
numbers definitely reflected that. Matt, what do you think? Closing words on a Monday.
Yeah, so since we're talking about HBCUs, I'm going to plead my ignorance. As growing up, I thought Georgetown was a black college.
Most people did because of John Thompson.
Yeah, because of
seriously.
John Thompson. But I really want to give a lot of love to Dr. Kevin James at Morris Brown College. They're the first HBCU to be re-accredited, and they went from, I think it was 10 students to now 350 students.
That's awesome.
And it looks like that tradition at Morris Brown, more than just drumline. I know that's where everybody might get their Morris Brown references from, but this is a college that's very rich, like most HBCUs, and have a story. And I mean, these people got land in a time where, you know, black Americans were not getting land. And it's stories like, I think that's the most important part about HBCUs is it's our heritage, it's our stories, and we have to do everything we can to support it and also make sure that those stories continue to be told. Because when history dies and no one's there to tell the story, it gets buried. So
I mean,
shout out.
again, Dr. James has done so many wonderful things in the past 4 or 5 years. Getting them, you know, the deal with the Apple with the laptops, and then restoring the school. I mean, so I remember Morris Brown when it was a big school, and then seeing the decline. Like, I have friends that marched in that band that was in drumline prior, and then the band the year after that, and then they all had to like scurry and hurry up and find a school where they can have their degrees confirmed. So conferred. So it was that 03-04 year was like crazy. I'm like,
Treacherous,
people
yeah.
calling, yo, where did we go? Where did we go? I said, I don't know. but sadly, so speaking of HBCUs and having that similar type of vibe, sadly, the same thing is about to happen to St. Aug in North Carolina.
Is that right?
Yeah, the Board of Regents rejected their proposal to keep their accreditation. So support the HBCUs. They're vital. Of course, you can talk about St. Paul's story.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, you
which
know, so
unfortunately went, and then you have Barbara Scotia who's
Scotia,
fighting
yeah.
to
yeah.
keep its doors open.
Absolutely.
So people, it's not just about going to the school. If you're an alum of a school, pay your dues. Like, support the alumni associations, because that's really where the money comes from. The support comes from to keep these schools open. Because, you know, our revenue, it pales in comparison to bigger schools. So athletic programs, people go to HBCUs to get the education, and you can play sports, is great too, you know, but the exposure really comes from the academics and other programs. But
Absolutely.
support the schools. Even if you don't go to one, you can find one and give money to any of them. There are 107 left right now. So we got to make sure that we keep the 107 that are still active.
Yeah, absolutely,
said.
for sure. And again, I don't have much to follow that up. I just think UConn's going to go back to back tonight. So just get used to watching greatness. I think Connecticut's going back to back, and I think they could win maybe a couple more here in the next 5 years, the way that they are being operated and ran by Coach Dan Hurley. I think they are just in the prime of what they're as a program right now. I think we're going to see them a lot more of the Huskies here in the foreseeable future. So again, not sure if tonight will be a close game. I'm praying it is, as are the Boilermakers right now. Just before the game, they're in the chapel, and let's hope that we get a good game tonight. That's all you can ask for.
That's it.
That's it, man.
All right, well, that was a heck of a show for Dennis and all of us here on DETV Sports. Let's have a good national championship tonight. Tip-off 9:20 between Purdue and UConn. We'll see you next Monday.